guys, sorry. I wasn't prepared. I thought I was. So we had the roaster on fire, or at least lit up, warming up for the last hour and a half or so. Definitely makes it warm in here, but it's actually really hot in here right now. So we're going to do fierce. We can probably start an Iron Brew Fire Department. I'm going to keep them busy. Alright, what I'm doing now is I'm turning on our little monitoring program here. The laptop doesn't actually do any roasting for us. It doesn't actually do anything for us, but it lets me see what's happening on the inside. There's two really particular measurements that I'm looking for, and that's one is called the rate of rise. Rate of rise is like acceleration. So you can imagine it as instead of miles per hour, it's degrees per minute. So how many degrees per minute can I add to these beans? The other measurement that's super important is bean temperature. Bean temperature is it's kind of subjective. It's not subjective. That's probably the wrong word. Bean temperature is important. It has everything to do with how much how dark you're going to roast. But it's not the tell-all number. It doesn't tell you when things are done. It doesn't tell you if you're doing it right. But your mom just put numbers up there. I think she's in a contest.
My mom did?
Yeah.
Hi,
What's up, Mom?
I love you.
Carol Stevens is Chanel's mom. She put
Come see me.
She put 3626 up, so I think she's ready for the contest already.
You want to own it, Mom? You have to come see me.
She said, laughing my ass off. So, yeah, your mom is in the contest already.
Hi, Mom. We're not having a contest yet.
No contest yet. It's coming. I'm sure we're going to give something away. Probably a, welcome back, Chad. We're probably going to give away a fierce mug. A little white ceramic. There's one right over there. All right, so bean temperature is super important, but not the tell-all. The tell-all signs are really what we hear and what we smell and what we see. But it helps to have some sort of a little guide. The other couple measurements that we record and that we monitor are airspeed and drum revolution and inches of water for the propane. We use natural gas and propane. I like propane a lot better. Seems like it roasts wetter. If that's what would you say? That's a secret. And not a secret. I'm telling all of our secrets. It roasts better. It seems to be more enveloping in the heat, if that makes any sense, and I can get a lot more energy out of it. It's going to be really loud in here, especially when Chanel's grinding. And this machine is a lot louder than the old one was.
I have work to do.
So Chanel's driving me, the operations manager, kicking my butt. There's a couple things that we stick in the computer. Computer's really not that important though. It just helps my ADD, I think. In case I get sidetracked, I can always look there and get some sort of feel where I left off. But it's really in the bean. So real quick, we're going to break down. This is a really simple roaster. We're not big. It's way hot in here. We're not that huge. We don't have any automation. Our roaster is not fancy. I quite honestly never want it to be. I want to be... Chanel's giving me the look. We want to stay as connected to the roast as we possibly can. We're only going to be able to do that if we're actually hand roasting stuff. What, babe? Chanel's totally laughing at me over here. I have no idea why.
He has no idea what I put up with.
Okay. Say hi.
All right, I did. Get out of here.
Okay, let's get back over here. We have things to do. Okay, so here's the basics. Inside this big monster, there's a drum. Rotates this way. Really doesn't matter. Beans are in here right now. They're going to dump. We pull this charge handle. We charge the drum. When it reaches a certain heat, a certain temperature, we try to make that really consistent. Cast iron is the most hands-on you can get. That's right, Chad. We did them all that way at one time. We just can't do them all that way now. But this is still pretty hands-on. The beans are going to drop down, fill up that pretty little window. We're going to turn this thing on. They spin. They get hot. And there is a beautiful, we call this a spoon. At least I call it a spoon. We got a spoon right here. We flip it up to catch the beans that are tumbling, slide it out, and you can see exactly what's happening inside the roaster. It's pretty sweet. So, all five senses. We'll eat the beans while we're roasting them. We'll watch them, we smell them, and we listen. There's two very, very, very important pieces to the roasting process, and those are the cracks. Fierce is going to go through first, and it's going to get pretty deep into second crack. That's going to be cool. So these, this roaster takes a little longer. If you ever watched our first roast, I think it was about 12 minutes. This one's probably going to be about 16. All right, we're going to start this thing up because I know some of this gets a little bit boring. I'm sure we got a techie out there that knows all this. All right, so I'm going to spin this drum up. I don't know how many revolutions per minute is exactly because I think it's not right, but I know what I'm looking for. Our numbers are consistent, and that's all that really matters. So here we go. 25 pounds of Fierce. You're going. Window's full. Spinning a little bit too fast right now, so I'm going to turn it back just a little bit. I have a different drum speed for different periods of the roast. As beans get roasted, they lose weight, but they grow in size. So they actually take up quite a bit more volume in the drum. Can you hear that, Justin? They take up a lot more volume in the drum. So if you just left the drum at one speed, they would start to just sit on themselves. They would get stuck and they start to burn. If you have it too fast, you can sear the tips. So there's kind of a, I don't really know what to call it, but you just got to kind of feel it through. You watch it spin in the window. It is like a big badass clothes dryer. You watch it through the window, and you get a real good judge as to how fast these things are tumbling. You can see them in there. This is just about right for the way that we do it here at Iron Bean. All right, here's how the spoon works. We turn it over. It's got a big weight in here, so no beans get trapped. No beans left behind. You turn it up, and that's when you know your spoon's on top, and they come right out. It catches them in motion. It's pretty wicked. They're already a little bit smoky. That's good. Beans are about 11% moisture when you put them in, and they're going to lose quite a bit right up until they hit the 300-degree point. Not a whole lot of smoke, but it smells like fresh cut grass. It's pretty, it actually smells really good. I would say kind of leathery and fresh cut grass. Maybe almost like a wheat field if you're out in the middle of a wheat field in the Midwest somewhere. It's actually looking really good. I gotta pay a little bit of attention. Alright, so we just hit the turning point. That means the beans in the machine are the same temperature right now. The beans cooled down the drum, and the drum heated up the beans. So everything's leveled off right about 178 degrees. And that's where we turn. So now they're going to start to climb. And this is where I look for that rate of rise. So I look for a rate of rise somewhere between 35 and 40 degrees per minute for the first part. Let's see if you can see this thing. For the first part of the roast. That right there, that's the chaff collector. Beans will give off a, looks like a peanut skin. If you ever had like a bag of peanuts or a bowl of peanuts, or you crunched a bunch of them up and you've been eating them and those little skins come off, the coffee beans lose the skin during the roasting period. It seems like they lose two. One a silver skin, one the chaff. And that big can right there catches them. So this big fan right here, it's sucking wind through the drum. It sucks it right past the fire where the burners are, and that's what feeds the fire. The beans cook through two methods: convection and conduction. So the conductive heat is what they pull off the drum. The convective heat is what the air that's being pulled through the machine brings off of the flame and then runs over the top of the beans. The beans then come out this exhaust manifold here, right into this big monster drum. All the chaff swirls to the bottom. All the heat and smoke right out the chimney. If you lived in our neighborhood, you would know when Iron Bean's roasting. This whole place smells like coffee. Unfortunately, it's not 24 hours a day, which would probably make it not special anymore. But our neighbor Debbie Walters, right across the street, she's out there in Iron Bean Nation somewhere. All right, we are up past 250 degrees. So now we're going to start shaving a little bit of heat off at a time. We've carried our rate of rise for about a minute and a half. Now I'm gonna drop it down somewhere in the 20s. So I'm gonna roll off 4 inches of water in our propane. For all you techies out there, Chanel hates when I tell how I roast coffee because it's so damn good. We don't want everybody roasting perfect coffee. Just kidding, there's a lot of good coffee out there. It's not a secret, it's just a whole lot of trial and development. Thing to do. So you're going to be able to see right now the first layer of silver skin in the spoon. I'm going to show it to you. So here's the spoon. If you look real close, you can see some of that paper that's sitting on there. That is the first layer of silver skin that comes off the coffee, or chafe. And then as we go through first crack is the last moment that the moisture escapes from the bean. And it sounds a whole lot like microwave popcorn. It's kind of far away, like knock, 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 knock. When the crack comes, it's going to lose another layer of skin off that bean. I don't know where they are. So first crack really depends on the size of the load of beans that you put in, the size of your roaster, and what heat profile that you're going to. But there is a general temperature at which the first crack is in place right now. A lot of the acids are breaking down, some of the carbohydrate from the cellulose, and they're starting to caramelize. And not caramelize like get sweet. What's the matter, baby?
You messing up my sample order.
Sorry, Chanel made a bunch of samples earlier from stuff we roasted this morning, and I stole a bunch of them for you guys. Now she's way out. And now I turn up the airspeed about 20%. And I turn up the drum speed about 5. And now this is where I'm going to start pulling it out with a lot of consistency. It's so good. Alright, now you're going to see that there's really a pretty good deepening in the brown. And they start to smoke a little bit more when they come out. And you'll see a lot of chafe in there. I want to make sure you guys see this good. There they are. This is perfect. The roll that we look for, speed looks really, really, really good. This is how we do it. This is not necessarily how every roaster roasts coffee, and it may not be these methods exactly. There's going to be some principles that are real similar, but hopefully everybody's doing something a little bit different, something a little bit intuitive. How you apply the heat, and the way that you apply the heat, and how you apply the air, how fast you cool, all those things change the properties of the coffee. We are now at 366 degrees. I'm gonna roll off just a little bit more heat. Sorry if I missed some of your questions. I gotta pay attention. I don't want to screw up your order. This is legit fierce going out. All right, so I'm rolling out a little bit of propane, turning up the air. Somewhere in about a minute, we should start to experience. Take a look at what stage that we're in. They're getting really dark. We are right now to the point when you could call this coffee a blonde roast. We're at 383 degrees. I can hear the very first crack starting. So just like a bag of popcorn, it doesn't start like rolling really fast. All right, I'm gonna try to roll that beautiful bean footage. I'm gonna try to get you down close. So here's where the action happens. You can hear it really good down here. All right, we had just hit first crack, so this one's a little bit late. Due to the Robusta, Robustas are real hard being similar to our Arabica Sulawesi, and Robusta's cracks come on a little bit delayed compared to Arabica crack. So now we're getting good smoke, good crack. I gotta take off a little bit more heat. I'm gonna add a little bit more air. Now, part of the reason for this air is what some coffee roasters hate to hear, but it's just the truth that you have to deal with. The other part is I really like our coffees to finish with convective heat, with a lot of airflow and a lot less transfer of heat from each other. So I turn the drum speed way up high, not too high, but way up high relatively speaking. Way up high so that the beans have a lot more room to separate. How you doing, Jeff? Take a look at these things now, and they're starting to smoke real nice. It smells so good when you pull the spoon out of here. So they're taking on a really nice deep color. Once first crack starts, we could drop this coffee at any time, and it would be good. It won't be fierce though. it'll be good. So first crack, generally, the very beginning of first crack is generally where your blonde roast starts. As first crack rolls through and completes, that's generally where you finish right up to a medium. Once first crack is over, it starts to get a little bit darker than that. All right, let me see if I can show you this crack again, if you can hear it. It's fast, it's light. This machine's so much louder on the outside. All right, I'm gonna roll off a little bit more heat. Right now we're at 420 degrees. First crack is over. We put a little more drum speed, a little more air, and now we're gonna get into second crack. So second crack's a lot more exciting. It's not really that much more exciting. Take a look. Oh, I gotta get you good light. Hang on. That's sexy right there. Alright. I gotta pull these out quite a bit here. So when we get into second crack, I gotta take off some more heat. There's so much to pay attention to. When we get into second crack, everything is starting to go really fast right now. There's just complete havoc inside this drum. At second crack, we are out of moisture. The beans aren't releasing any more moisture. Second crack is actually the structure of the cellulose of the beans breaking. We're in it right now. Here's second crack. It sounds like Rice Krispies. We're almost done. All right, so we're at 450 degrees. I have the gas completely off at this point. Here's how many inches of mercury. 0. This thing is going to start racing in temperature and getting hotter and hotter and hotter. I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to tell you when we dump it. That's a proprietary secret. But I'm going to show it to you when we get there. And we're really close. So they're getting darker and darker. These things are almost turning black. At some point right about now, there it is. That's when the roaster tells me, hey, bad things are going to happen. We try to maximize as much energy as we can get out of here. So in about 30 seconds or less, you're going to start to see the oil comes out of these beans from the fracturing husks. I don't know if you can see it. They're actually cracking in the spoon. See if you can grab one more of those. And at the very tips of those beans, see it jump? At the very tips of those beans, the oil's coming out. All right, it's going to get a little loud right now. Here's where the cooling fan comes in. So here's a big agitator. I got a monster fan that sucks air through this table in the back. It's going to start turning. Second crack is just starting to fade. Now it's time. Feast your eyes on Fierce. It smells good. That's Fierce in all its glory. Not bad, huh? I love this part. I'll shut this thing down. I'm not shut it way down. Now we just got to make a couple adjustments. I slow the drum speed down. I take the air speed way down. Because now all I want to do is retain a lot of heat inside all the iron in this thing. Sorry if I went too fast. It gets crazy at the end. So here it is. It's super loud. It's cooling down as fast as we possibly can. The faster you can cool it down, the faster that you stop the cooking process. It's almost like scrambled eggs or... eggs are probably the best point. When you take them off the heat, they'll continue to cook for a long time. If we didn't cool this thing, they would continue to cook for a really long time. And what happens is the flavor really gets flat. You start to get, you'll lose some bitterness, but it's not because you created sweetness. It's just because you flattened everything inside the bean and took away what made it coffee in the first place. It'll have a smoky body, but that's about it. It's not really good coffee.